Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache Snow from NacheSnow.com. That's NacheSnow.com. Another great episode today. Can't wait to play it for you guys. But just few things. If you haven't already signed up for the newsletter, just go over to NacheSnow.com/newsletter and it'll take you right to the form. If you go to any of the pages on the website, it will have a form on there. I'm about to start giving away some goodies in my newsletter, like some worksheets and other things, and also have some videos in there that cover various topics. Like I've had the people who've subscribed so far fill out like a survey for me so I can understand kind of what you guys want. So I've gotten some like great feedback on passion. People want to help, they want help discovering their passion, and also like some productivity tips. And then also like some technical things like, how to start a business or how to create a website with maybe like Squarespace or WordPress. So, I've gotten all kind of amazing ideas already. So if you want to be the first to hear about them, please definitely sign up for the newsletter. And then, of course, as I come out with more courses, you'll find it there too. The Inbox Zero free course is still available. So if you go to NacheSnow.com/inbox0, it'll take you to my course website and you can subscribe to that for free. Come on, y'all. No more 5,000, 10,000 emails. We're going to start fresh and we're going to get it under control. Other than that, everything has been going great. I just want to say thank you again. I am up to 10 reviews on iTunes. I appreciate you guys going out there and rating me. And for those who wrote something too, thank you very much. This really helps me kind of like move on up the chart. So if you haven't already, please go into iTunes, either on your phone or on your desktop, and you rate me. I really would appreciate that. Let's see. I've got a ton of like good guests coming up. But if you have any ideas for someone else that you'd like to hear on the podcast, send me a note at hello@NacheSnow.com, or just go to my contact form on my website, or just tweet at me, whatever. Let me know and I'll reach out to them to see if I can get them on the podcast. I love talking to amazing people with amazing stories. So if you have any ideas, let me know. And if you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner and you really liked episode 5, where I'm talking Nache through like what's next for her and her business, let me know. hello@NacheSnow.com, and I can listen to your story and see if it makes sense to be on the air. And if that's the case, I'd love to do another one of those sessions. All right. So on to our guest. So I have Janice McCullough on the show. And it's so funny because we talk about this a little bit, but a lot of people know her as Bernie Mac's daughter. And I laugh because we talk about, sometimes like living in the shadows of someone who has such like a huge presence. And, for those of you guys who know Bernie Mac before, he passed away, he was an amazing comedian, like larger than life and very well known. But on here, on this episode, what we're talking about is like, number one, how it feels when you're kind of like living in someone's shadow, or where you're known as someone else, like people would call her like Bernie Mac's daughter. And I feel like we've all been there, but it's on a different scale maybe, because like even growing up, if I was ever around my dad and his friends, I was like Snow's daughter, right? So it's like you didn't have a name, you were just that person. And so I think Janice does a great job talking to us about how she, number one, embraced being Bernie Mac's daughter, and then how she found like her own voice too. And I think that her advice is really good and that we all can relate on some level, even if we don't have celebrity parents. So I think you guys will really, really enjoy this and learn a lot. And I believe too that, it'll make you have some self-reflection on kind of figuring out like what is your legacy and what do you want to be known for. So anywho, I'm gonna stop babbling on and just get to the episode. Hello everyone, we have Janice here. Welcome, Janice.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. I'm really excited for all of you guys out there. I'm originally, even though I'm in the DC area now, in particular Maryland, I'm originally from Chicago, and that's where Janice is now.
Yes, in the cold. No.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I heard it's going to snow here next week. I'm like, oh, it's about to begin, even though I don't mind it too much. Can you just tell like the listeners out there just a little bit about you?
Okay, sure. That question throws me off every time, though. I'm like,
Right.
who am I to talk about me? I don't know.
That's like a big question, right? It's like, where do you start?
Yes, it's like I will start with the leading, because that's what most people come to know me as. I am actually Bernie Mac's daughter, and that used to drive me crazy. Now I'm okay with it. I am a speaker. I'm a writer. Mother to like the most amazing 10-year-old kid on the earth, and I'm not biased at all. Yeah, I always say I feel like I've gotten to this space now where I'm not on this hamster wheel of life, and I get that life is all about unfolding. So every day I wake up, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just every day working to be more of who I am, figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow.
The Snow's version.
Well, it's so weird, and so I can only guess, but it's funny because you said like it's weird, or maybe especially when you were younger, it was weird being known as like just someone's daughter in a different way than it's just me being known as like, my dad's daughter. Like, what about that? Was it kind of like smothering, or was it like, you're like, I'm my own person, I'm Janice? Like, like what about that was kind of annoying, and how did you learn to like embrace it, I guess, if that's the right word for it?
It was definitely the latter. It would annoy me because my dad had such a huge presence. And even before the world came to know him as who he was, I was always just known as his daughter. Like I remember I would, walk down the street to the store, to my friend's house, and guys in the neighborhood who knew him would be like, oh, that's Black's daughter right there. Oh, and it was just kind of like, okay, yeah. But once he became famous, it just kicked it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
It like people didn't bother to get to know me. Like I said, like I was my own person. Yes, that was my dad, and I was proud of him and his accomplishments. But I always felt like I got diminished by other people, in order for them to lift him up. So it was when people saw me, I didn't have a name. It was just, oh, you're Bernie Mac's daughter. Mm-hmm. What's your name? Mm-hmm. What's your name?
Right. Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, but she's Bernie Mac's daughter, and it was really frustrating, because I think at the end of the day, all of us, we just really want to be seen for us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I wasn't being seen. I was just being seen as his daughter. And it didn't matter what I did or what I accomplished. It somehow always came down to, well, she's Bernie Mac's daughter. She only got that because she's Bernie Mac's daughter. And it was just really like, it was trying. The way I learned to embrace it, and if I'm honest, I really didn't learn to embrace it until after he passed away. Mm-hmm. It just, someone asked me, someone said it. I don't even remember where I was, but someone said that's Bernie Mac's daughter, and they called me on a bad day, and I was like, no, I'm me. Thank you very much.
Right. I am my own person, right?
Right. At least get my name right. Thank you. And they were like, okay, well, who are you? And it stunned me because I was like, I'm Bernie Mac's daughter. Like, it was just like,
but that's like an amazing self-reflection kind of question, right? Because you probably never had to answer that. So it was just like, oh, well, what do I want to be known for, right?
it was exactly that. And it was like, at the time, my daughter was very young. So I was either known as Bernie Mac's daughter or Jasmine's mom. Those were the two that I was known by. And it was just like, okay, well, I'm not just Bernie Mac's daughter. I'm Jasmine's mom too. So there.
Right.
But it just, once I was asked and I didn't have an answer, I said, okay, well, let me get about with the business of figuring out who I am. And one of the things that I realized was I never really had an issue with being my father's daughter. It's an honor to me. I'm proud that that's my dad. The root of my issue was that I just didn't know who I was. So once I started making peace with myself, that's when it no longer bothered me. When people said, "Oh, that's Bernie Mac's daughter." Yep, I am.
That's
if you'd
it.
like to know my name's Janice. But yeah,
that. So what was that? So what was that journey like? Like, what were some of the things that kind of you did in order to like discover like what you wanted to be known for, and then how did it lead to like what you do now and what you go out to talk about?
Oh, that's a great question. The journey itself, now I can look back on it and see like the beauty in it, but at the time it was very difficult because I was navigating through grief as well. I'm an only child, and when my dad passed away, not only was it just like, oh my gosh, my dad's dead, but it shifted the relationship I had with my mom. So I felt like my whole anchor was gone. And then my divorce was finalized a few months after my dad died. So it was a loss of everything that I'd come to know. So it was like someone just came in, demolished my house, and was like, okay, you need a new house. Now, here's some materials, here's some wood, here's some cement, here's a hammer. Get at it.
Go.
Yeah.
Good luck. Right.
So I remember one of the first things that I did was I just started to tackle the grief. And I did go to counseling. And because I realized, I think it was coming up on a year that my dad had passed away, and I didn't feel any better. And I said, okay, I need to go to, like, I'm obviously not doing this well on my own. I need some help. So I went to counseling, and I did counseling for about 8 months. And in the course of counseling, it was like, not only did we navigate through my grief, but we also navigated through the issues I had in my relationship with my mom, the issues I had with the loss of my marriage, and just how in the course of growing up as Bernie Mac's daughter, I kind of started getting comfortable with playing small. Even though I resented it, there was a safety in it. It was like, okay, well, nobody expects anything of me anyway, so I'm just going to have to stay here in the background. And with my father passing, it did put me in the spotlight a little bit more. I had to speak more, on his behalf. And that really, it was very scary because it was just like, I know, I'm used to sitting in the background and you look at him, but there was no
right. It's like, what do you want me to say? Where do you want me to go? Like, what am I supposed to do now? Right.
Like, no, I'm usually the one on the side behind the curtain. No. And so I was like, okay. well, let me start doing, things. And then I started throwing myself into championing being Bernie Mac's daughter. I was like, I'm Bernie Mac's daughter, doggone it. And I'm going to make his legacy. I'm going to go with it. So
Right.
I started working with his foundation. And in the course, I think I worked for the foundation. I was vice president of the foundation for a year when I was like, I want to carry on my dad's legacy, but I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next question was, well, what do I really want to do?
Right.
And by the end of it, I kind of came to a peace because I was carrying around a lot of guilt and a lot of pressure to carry on my dad's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I was working the foundation, I felt like, yes, I'm carrying on my dad's legacy, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I
Because you
heard
weren't
this,
doing what you love, right? Like, was it
right?
just not a position where you're like, oh, I get up every morning excited to do this?
Yeah, no, it was obligation and duty. As my
Mm-hmm.
father's only child, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when a voice, like that still voice inside said, okay, honey, I need you to understand you don't need to carry on your dad's legacy. Because that was the story I was telling myself. I have to keep his legacy going. I have to keep his legacy going. And the voice was like, your dad, he lived, he did everything he needed to do before he died. Now you need to
Mm-hmm.
do what you need to do.
Right.
That he did his work. And if you use your time here on earth just to finish up doing his work, you're not doing yours. So what's your legacy going to be? And that's when I said, okay, well, I guess I better get to getting with doing what I want to do.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I asked myself, well, what's that thing that I've always loved doing that I really love doing? And it's writing. Writing is my first love. As far back as I can remember, I've always been a writer. I remember in the fourth grade, I told my teacher, I want to write a play for our class and I want to produce it. And she let me have at it. And I did. And I remember growing up saying, I want to write. That's what I want to do. But somewhere along the way, I didn't feel like I could do that. And I started looking into other avenues to please everybody else. So that's when I started my blog. And when I
Oh.
started the blog, it was like my therapy. It was just like a release.
Mm.
And that's what really helped me.
And what was the blog about?
The blog was just really about my life, different things, lessons that I've learned along the way. When I would sit down and talk to people, I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was just spewing word vomit, just talking to people, dumping all stuff on them. But at the end of most of the conversations, people would walk away like, oh my gosh, you've been through so much and you're still here. Wow, you're such an inspiration. You're inspiring me. You help me.
Mm.
And that's really weird to me because I was really stuck in this like, well, who am I to help somebody else? I'm trying to figure it out myself. Don't follow me. You'll
Right.
be lost like I am if you follow me.
But it's so funny. I think like a lot of times people need somebody else that will go through that journey with them. So as you're kind of like opening your heart and like sharing your experience, they have somebody to relate to, and that's what they need, It's just someone who's kind of like speaking their language like, yes, I get exactly what you're saying because I'm going through it too.
Yes. Yep. And
Yeah.
every time I go, every time I retreat back into self-doubt or something about writing something or posting something and I do it, I'm always reminded of that. Like I will always get at least 3 people who will either message me or comment and say exactly that. Wow, I
Mm.
am going through this very thing myself. Thank you so much. And it brings me back to, okay, this is my why. This is why I do it. All right.
Mm. Now, do you still have the blog or did that like eventually kind of morph into something else?
I still have the blog. I need to treat it better. I really do. I'm not. I need to treat it so much better than I do. I really do. But I do still have a blog. It's Bernie's Daughter blog.wordpress.com. And I do still have it. And I ventured out a little bit more into doing videos as well. I'll do video logs as well. And that has the blog has kind of morphed into me coaching now, because I'm trying my hand at life coaching, which is crazy because my background is in mental health counseling. But after I graduated, I think I worked in social service for about 3 years, and I was like, no, I can't do this. No,
Right.
just
You're
no.
like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah, it was like, ooh. I had good intentions. I promise I did. But the reality of this is like, no. And to come back kind of full circle in a way doing it, it's like, okay, so this is my purpose. Okay, let me stop running from it.
Wow. Well, I mean, but it's like, I think, kind of the lesson here is like, as you kind of like go through your path in life, like even the things that you don't think might help you or, be relevant maybe in the future after you've moved on from it, will help you, right? Like, so, just getting educated in that and then working in it in a little bit will now help you help others, but just in a different way. Like maybe you won't have to be, dealing with like maybe the drama that sometimes comes with social work, because I have a few friends in social work, but some of the same principles that you would use to like help families and help people, you could do it on one-on-one now.
And even, on a global scale, possibly, like, because when I'm writing, and even when I'm speaking, when I'm going to events and speaking, I'm still using a lot of those same tools. It's just in front of masses. So you're absolutely right.
And so with the speaking, because I really wanted to get into that, because I know, we have listeners out there that, might have something that they're passionate about and would love to kind of go into speaking about whatever their topic is. Can you talk about like how you got started and then, like as far as like reaching out to people or finding events and also just like finding your voice? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that journey to help some of the listeners out there that might be thinking about doing the same thing?
Oh, sure. For me, I was thrown into speaking accidentally. Well, not really, because I believe there's no accidents, but that's what it felt like to me. In the course of me working for my dad's foundation, that we needed someone to speak, to be the spokesperson. My mom is terribly shy. She's much better now, but at the time, my mom was just like, no, I'm not doing it at all. So you're going to have to do it. So I wound up, doing interviews and, when we would have public events and fundraisers, I was the one doing the speaking. And it kind of snowballed. Like after that started happening, people started contacting the, foundation like, hey, well, would Janice mind speaking here? And before I knew it, I was speaking at sarcoidosis rallies. I was speaking at, galas. I was speaking at schools. And I found I really enjoyed speaking with the schools. I really enjoy working with young people. I really do. And once I left the foundation, I was like, okay, I don't necessarily want to work for the foundation, but I really do enjoy this. So I just kept, contacting schools, like, hey, if you guys are having a, pep rally, like I wound up speaking at Homewood Flossmoor School one year, right before they had a pep rally for the seniors taking the ACT. And I remember how stressful that was. And I said, I'll just do like a small, if you, for the seniors, I'll come to the classroom. They wound up doing a full pep rally.
Whoa.
And it wound up full pep rally. And it wound up being a really great moment. So I would say for people who that's what you want to do, just figure out your niche and start small. Like sometimes some of the best events I've had has been about 3 people. It's been three or four
Mm-hmm.
people in a room, sitting, speaking with them. And the more intimate settings, you get to have more of an influence to me, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
because you really get to connect, on a more personal level with them. But I would say just start small. Like if you're passionate about, women's empowerment, start a meetup group
Mm-hmm.
and just, even if all you're doing is meeting in your house, in the basement of somebody's house or at a community center, just start small and just build your way up. And you'll be surprised at what will come up. Because I've been really surprised at how it's grown. Like, and I'm still, even at this point, when I get a call like, hey, we would like you to speak here, I'm always like, huh? Really?
Like what? Right. But I think too, it's like, and after you do like a few, then sometimes naturally, like your name gets out there, right? Like, oh, she was at this pep rally and she did amazing, and the students were, so excited and inspired. And then somebody else hears that and they're like, oh, wow, she might be good for X event. Let me see if I can contact her and get her to speak at, whatever it might be. So I guess it's like the more you do it, the more, your work like speaks for itself.
To your point, I had a moment like that. There was one year, my mom and I were asked to speak at the Chicago Black Woman Expo. And I didn't even speak on it. They wanted us to speak about my dad.
Mm.
I just, in the course of speaking, all I did was talk about how I learned so much from him and the
Mm.
lessons that I learned. And there was a woman there from Virginia who worked for this wellness company. And every year they had a women's wellness conference. And she went back and told her boss about me, and her boss contacted me like, hey, my employee saw you speak this summer and we're having our women's wellness retreat. Would you please be our keynote? And I didn't
Yeah.
even like go forward like, okay, this is my life. Let me show you how to be a woman. And I was just talking about the lessons I learned in life from my dad.
But it
So
was
yeah.
inspiring, and then someone else is like, oh my goodness, she needs, I mean, it's like, it's so funny like how things happen like that, like how those connections are made. And then for you, like as you're speaking at like the different events, like how do you prepare for it? Because I know everybody has like different methods. Like some people might write the speech out, some people have slides, some people don't have slides. Like kind of what's your thing? Like how do you get ready, and what type of tools do you use when you speak?
The first thing I always do, I always start with just praying and meditating on it, because
Mm.
I'm an overthinker. I will overthink something. Oh my gosh. So the wheels will fall off and I will pick it back up like, no, must keep going. So the first thing I always do is I always just get still, and I always ask, what will you have me say? What am I meant to say? What needs to be said? What needs to be heard?
Hmm.
And then from there, I write it out. It's the writer in me. I have to write it out. And I prefer to write it out by hand. Something about writing it out by
Mm.
hand does something for me.
Yeah.
And then once I write it out by hand, I'll read it over and then I'll just go, okay. And so when I wind up speaking, I wind up doing a combination. Like I'll stick somewhat to what I wrote out, but I'll start to flow with whatever needs to be said. Like there, more times than not, I know what I wrote out was on the right path, but once I start speaking, other things will come up that I didn't even plan on saying, but it
Mm-hmm.
winds up being right on. So I don't stick. I'm not rigid about what I prepared beforehand, but I don't go in fully unprepared either.
No, no, that's I think that's good, because I think sometimes people will get like, I don't know, so caught up in making sure that they say everything that's on the paper, or think they have to be like really, really prepared when really all they need is like a few like points just to get them going. And then, maybe I guess some assistance initially just because they're not used to like timing themselves. Like, if somebody asks you to speak 30 minutes versus an hour, you would have to like know how you're going to fill that time.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people overthink it and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I got to write down every word. I got to say every word, So, and then
Yep.
how long have you been speaking now?
I've been speaking now. Let's see. It's been about 5 years now. Wow, it's been 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. And then, so you talked, about, I know that you speak on sarcoidosis. Did I say that right? Awareness. But you
Yay,
also
go.
did I okay. I was like, okay, don't murder it, Nache, don't murder it. But you also talk about like women wellness, self-empowerment, and you even talked about, speaking in front of youth, but for the women out there, because I think this audience is predominantly women, not to leave you men out that's listening. Do you have just any advice for them of just like taking care of themselves, embracing themselves, believing in themselves?
Oh gosh, yeah. And I can't say anything that I don't say to myself at least once a day. Um, Absolutely. It starts with you. If you walk into a space and you don't believe in you and you don't love you and you don't believe that you can do whatever it is you're setting out to do, no one else is going to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know, whatever you're doing is worthwhile. Like I don't, I've had the tendency to walk into a room and kind of deflate myself and doubt and go, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody's interested in hearing what I have to say. And then I look into the room and I'm like, no, there's a bunch of people in this room who obviously they care because they're here.
Right.
And, and it's like, I don't have to give myself a pep talk. You have something worthwhile to say. Say it. Be it,
Mm-hmm.
believe it. And you don't try to, you don't have to look at anyone else. If you're looking at someone else and thinking, gosh, they're so charismatic, or, oh, their vocabulary, like they speak like that, you don't have to do any of that. Just
Mm-hmm.
do and be exactly who you are, because there's somebody out there who's gonna get. I may say something and that person may look at me like, I can't get with her. I don't know what she's talking about, but she needs to go on. And then you come in and say, like really, it's
Mm-hmm.
it does. And then you could come in and say pretty much exactly what I said, but say it your way, and that same person is going to be like, I get it now. Great. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I would say just be you, and please take care of you, because women, we are nurturers, but we will nurture everybody but ourselves,
That is so
and we
true.
will, yeah, we'll run ourselves on fumes trying to take care of everyone else. It's Be selfish about your self care and your self love and all of that.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
still learning. It's still a practice myself.
no, I feel like that's the thing. It's an ongoing thing. I think sometimes when some people see other folks out there, especially women that are doing well, and it seems like, oh my goodness, they have everything together. They're doing everything they want. They're living the dream. They don't realize, like, yeah, maybe on the surface, everything is great, but it doesn't mean that that person doesn't have struggles too, that that person doesn't get nervous before speaking or has a moment of self doubt and then has to pick themselves up. Like no one's perfect. And I think people sometimes get caught up in comparing themselves and they really just need to just
Yeah.
focus on them.
Oh, compare. That's one of the worst things you can do to yourself. Like, you are basically like abusing yourself. You are like, when you start comparing yourself, you're basically telling yourself, I want to abuse you right now. I just want to beat you down, because you're never going to be what your I won't even say what someone else is. You're never going to be your image of what someone else is.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then just two wrap up questions. The first one is, do you feel that you have discovered like your true passion, or are you still kind of like on the search for it?
I think I'm still like, I think I've discovered what it is. I think the avenues with which it comes out is always changing because initially I just knew I wanted to help others. Like I've
Mm.
always known that's what I've wanted to do. And it took me a while to realize that is my purpose. That's my passion, helping people. I always say if I can help somebody avoid the pitfalls in life that I fell through, I'm walking away a happy camper. But
Hmm.
every time I think I've got the exact niche down, it changes. Like originally, like I told you, I thought it would just be writing. The writing
Right.
morphed into speaking. Now this is going into coaching, and so who knows where it's going to go from here. But I do know that yeah, that part about it, I have found that.
No, that's awesome. And then this is like a really random question that I'm asking everybody. What can you not live without? So it could be anything like technology, makeup, furniture, software, anything.
It's chocolate.
Is
I
it?
must stop. If the world's chocolate supply went away, I couldn't live. Like it, yeah, but
Yeah, that's like bacon for me. I always tell people like I probably could give up pork but I can't say no to bacon. I'm just like it's just not gonna happen. Like
I'm not mad at it. See, you know, as long as you know, you're good. Yeah.
exactly. And then and where can the listeners find you? Like please let us know any social media handles you want them to have or any websites you'd love them to check out.
Oh, sure. Well, like I said, I finally made peace with it. So my handle on everything is Bernie's daughter.
Oh,
So you can
nice.
find me on Instagram, Bernie's daughter, Twitter, Bernie's daughter, my website, berniesdaughter.com, the blog, berniesdaughter.wordpress.com. Yeah, just pretty much Bernie's daughter is it. I also have a book. I'm part of a compilation book right now. It's called Transition, which is kind of the same vein of what we've been talking about. How to
Oh,
begin
yeah.
to like release all the things that you've been doing that maybe you feel like you had to do, and then transition into like a more entrepreneurial lifestyle, the lifestyle that you really want. And that you can find at onetransitionbook.com.
Oh, awesome. And how has that been going? Like marketing a book and just having a book out there.
I'm not gonna tell you it's not difficult, and I was approached by the woman who started it. Her name is Precious Brown. My hat goes off to her because yeah, it's just my part in helping to promote it. I've been like ready to tear my hair out. But she said something not too long ago on one of our calls, like between all of the authors and she said, just continue to remember your why. Remember why we're doing this. Remember how you felt when you decided to do this and how scary it was. We're doing this to help other people. So just
Mm-hmm.
remember that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. And for me, I have to be really vigilant about my discipline because I can kind of get like, I'm one of those social media people that I can be really good for about a week and a half. And then after a week and a half, it's like overload. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to decompress. And I'll go away for a month. And
Wow.
then I'll
Yeah.
come back like, hey, did you miss me? So it's having to
Right.
and stay on it, but it's been really rewarding thus far. So we're working now on trying to get a tour for next summer. We've all agreed none of us want a tour in the cold, so we're trying to
Right,
get the
right.
tour going during the summertime. So
No,
yeah.
awesome. I'll definitely add like all the links that Janice just mentioned in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you, this was a pleasure.
Okay, now it's time for the breakdown. lots of nuggets in this episode. I'm just going to run through a couple. I think the first is like, I love how she kind of embraced it. Like, you know what? I am Bernie Mac's daughter and I'm proud, and that is fine. But then the follow up to that is like, even though I am Bernie Mac's daughter, even though I am Jasmine's mom, I am Janice McCullough too. And this is what I want to be, and this is how I want to impact others. So it's being okay with, you know, being known for something or somebody's mom or someone's daughter, but finding that balance to also being known for things that you love and have a passion for. So I hope that some of the tips that she gave resonated with you guys, like taking a step back to really figure out what's what. I also wanted to point out, we didn't dig into it too much, but she talked about, like, after her father passed away, she realized that, there was like still something like bothering her. And she went to counseling to really kind of talk to somebody about, the death of her father, but also other things that were going on in her life, like, being divorced around that same time. And what I love about 2017 and the last couple of years is people are more open about getting help when they need it. I want to say, like, when I was growing up, I felt like there was maybe a stigma. So, like, in the 90s and early 2000s, I feel like there was like this stigma, like, no one, talked about getting help, or the only people that would see like someone like a counselor or whatever were the people like in New York. Like, it was trendy in New York to like have a counselor or a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever. But nowadays it's like more normal. It's like, you know what? I have something on my mind and I need a neutral party to talk to me about it and help me work through it. And so I'm so glad that she was able to seek someone, a counselor. I'm not sure if it's like a grief counselor or what, but just someone to just be like, look, this is on my mind. This is what I'm dealing with, and to help her kind of work through that. So kudos to her for that. And then, it's so funny because, on that path to self-discovery, she truly found out what she didn't want to do. And then, kind of self-reflected to find out, like, you know what? I think what I want to do is I want to go back to my old love, writing. And how can I do it? Let me start a blog. And I think that's a lesson learned for all of you guys out there is, she didn't have to do anything big. She didn't have to do anything grand, she just started simple. She was like, I'm just going to write a blog. I can, go to a free blog site and just start writing to my heart's desire and just get my words out. And if that takes me somewhere, great, but just to get started. And so I encourage you guys to do that. Like, if there is something that you have always wanted to do or have a passion for, start small, and just do it. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, she talked a little bit about speaking, which I'm so interested in. It's funny. The week before this is actually going to air, I, conduct an interview, or I conducted an interview. I know, I was like, I'm speaking in the past, future. It's weird. Anyway. And I talked to a future guest about speaking because that's something I'm really interested in. And she says like a couple of things there that I think are great. Like, at one point, she even says, like, you don't have to be, I forgot exactly how she says it, but the most articulate. I think sometimes people think they have to have this presence about them and say these really big words in order to do that. But I mean, I feel like in plain language, you can resonate with people as long as you have a good story to tell. And so I really like that because I don't consider myself like this, amazing, well-spoken person, but I do have a story I want to tell. And I do have, things that I want to share with folks to help hopefully inspire them. So I'm really interested in getting into speaking. So I love that she gives advice and then the future guest gives advice. And so one of my 12-week goals that I actually talk about in the newsletter, I encourage everyone to do a 12-week goal, is to try to find some place very small, for me to talk about, starting a business or finding your passion or design, like all the things I love. So if you actually have an idea or a platform that you think I should talk at, God, I hate saying this out loud, but in the DC area or just virtually like a web conference or something, let me know, because I'm giving myself 12 weeks to do at least one thing. And I've spoken before and briefed before on different things, but not necessarily on something that I was like passionate about, like business, tech, design, and all that good stuff. So anywho, I'm putting it out there for the universe. If you have someplace you'd like me to speak, hit me up. hello@nachesnow.com. Okay. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Let me know. Go to nachesnow.com/06. That's where you will find the show notes for this episode. Leave a comment on the website and let me and let Janice know, like, if this helped you. Leave a comment on social media, tweet at us, leave a comment on Instagram, Facebook. Y'all know I'm everywhere. And let us know, like, what are your thoughts? Like, have you gone through the same thing? And, based on this episode, like, are you going to put anything into practice? Okay, that's all. And please, you guys know what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep saying this until I get like 200 like ratings on iTunes. So please go over to iTunes. You could search Studio 78 podcast, or to go directly to it, you can go to nachesnow.com/iTunes, and please give me a rating. If you're an Android person, you could do it at Stitcher too, which is nachesnow.com/Stitcher. And I'd really appreciate it. Please share this. I'm trying to get the word out, but I need your help to do it. Anywho, I hope that you guys have an amazing morning, noon, or night, and I challenge you to be amazing. Bye.